sweetest potatoes. So today we'll be studying about the control of blastomere identity in C. elegans. So the control of blastomere identity, the C. elegans, demonstrates both the autonomous specification and also the conditional specification. And both these modes are seen if the two blastomeres are experimentally separated. Wait, what? Rewind, please. I know you guys have forgotten every single thing about C. elegans. So let's have a recap. So, as you can see here, and hope you remember this. So, C. elegans, after they undergo this, after they fuse and they form a zygote, the cells will start dividing and the blastomeres are formed. So they form the anterior cell, the posterior cells. So the anterior AB cell is formed and the posterior P1 cell, and again they'll undergo many divisions, and this region at the top it forms the future dorsal region, and the region below it forms the future ventral region, that is the gut and the muscles. And you also have to remember this chart because your whole chapter revolves around this. So you can see the zygote will divide into two cells, and again they'll divide into ABA, ABB, and they're again divided into different cells. And also you can see the cells, what it will form in the end, like the pharynx, hypodermis, the muscle cells, the intestine, and everything is formed in the end. So in C. elegans, the thing you have to remember is that both the modes are seen if the two blastomeres are experimentally separated. So you have this cell, that is the P1 cell. So the P1 cell develops autonomously without the AB cell and results in the posterior half of the embryo, and this is referred to as autonomous specification. Okay. So what this means is that here you can see you have two cells, that is the AB cell as well as the P1 cells. So what it means is that experimentally you remove this AB cell from the P1 cell, and then you allow the P1 cell to grow. So it was seen that even the P1 cell still it develops autonomously without the presence of this AB cell, and it will result in the posterior half of the embryo. So this type of specification is referred to as autonomous specification. Whereas the specification of AB blastomeres is conditional. What that means is that if you take those AB cells, the AB cells are not in contact with the P1 cells, then the AB cells it will fail to make the AB, and the further divisions will not take place, and it will fail to form the anterior pharyngeal muscles. Thus, we say that the specification of AB blastomeres are conditional, whereas the specification of P1 cells are autonomous. So now coming into the details of autonomous specification. So the P1 lineages, these P1 lineages are autonomous, and the cell fate are determined by the internal cytoplasmic factors. And before going into those factors, I just want to remind you guys that all the transcriptional factors they're given in capital letters, whereas the genes are always written in small letters, but they're italicized, and the proteins are always in small letters. So just this is the way it is supposed to be written, so that it'll be easy for you to understand and not get confused with the genes, the transcriptional factors, and the proteins. So here, as you can see here, you have three transcriptional factors, that is the SK1, PAL1, PI1, which are derived from four P1 somatic founder cells, that is MS, E, C, and D. Again, for a recap, you have the founder cells, that is MS, E, C, and D. So these transcriptional factors are derived from these founder cells. And now, just to make it easier, I've just written it down. So you have this SK1 gene. Okay, so the SK1 gene is a maternally expressed transcriptional factors which control the effect of EMS blastomeres, and these EMS blastomeres will generate the posterior phanex. Okay, so after the first cleavage, as you can see here, after the first cleavage, only the posterior P1 cell blastomere, it has the ability to form the pharyngeal cells in isolation. Whereas when and again after that, the P1 cell will divide. So when the P1 cell divide, then only the EMS cell will have the ability to form the phanex muscle cells in isolation. So what this means is that during the first cleavage, the P1 has the ability to form the pharyngeal cells in isolation, but when the P1 cell divides, then the P1 will lose its ability and only the EMS cell will have the ability to form all these, the phanex, the muscle cells in isolation. And you also have the MS cells. So the MS cells, they have the intrinsic ability to form the pharyngeal tissues. So from all these experiments were carried out, and what they found from these findings is that the pharyngeal cell fate, it is determined autonomously by maternal factors in the cytoplasm. And this was not just one experiment which was carried out. There was also a few other experiments which was carried out to know about this autonomous specification. So there were two people who were involved in during this experiment. That is his name. So there are two people, that is Bowerman and his co-workers, in the year 1992 and 1993. They found that the maternal effect mutants which lack the pharyngeal cells, and they isolated a mutation. Here you can see the mutation which is called as the SK1 gene. And what they found is that you can see in the picture, you have a wild type as well as the mutant. So the embryos which have a homozygous SK1 gene deficient mothers, which they lack both. You can see they lack the pharyngeal mesoderm as well as the endodermis of the EMS cell. So it lacks all of this. You cannot see. So this is the wild type. So the mutants will lack all this the pharyngeal as well as the mesoderm and the endoderm of the EMS cells. And instead, what you see is that there is a normal intestinal pharyngeal structure. Instead of that, you have all this extra hypodermal skin, which you can see here. So they have all this extra hypodermal skin and the body wall tissue. So from this, what conclusion they came into was that here the EMS cells were respecified as C. So what is the function of C? If you again go back to that chart, you will find that the C is very important to form the muscle and the hypodermis neurons. So when the SK1 gene is mutated, it will get the EMS cells will get respecified as C, and then you find a structure like this where it is full of muscles and only hypodermis and skin. And they also came to a conclusion that only those cells which were destined to form the phanex and intestine were affected by this mutation. And one more thing about this SK1 gene is that this SK1 gene, it has a DNA binding motif which is very similar to the BZIP family of transcriptional factors. And if you've forgotten about those transcriptional factors, you can just go through another video which I made for your juniors. It's right there about this family. Yeah. So we'll learn more about this gene, that is the SKN1 gene. So in this whole autonomous specification, there are three players which are very important. So these are the players, these are the transcriptional factors. So what happens is that you have the SK1 gene, SK1 transcriptional factor, which activates maternal proteins, and it also activates some the transcription of two genes. That is here I represented it like a star here, just to show the activation. So it will go and activate two genes, that is MED1 and MED2 genes, and whose products are also transcriptional factors. So again, the MED is given in capitals. So the first one is the MED transcriptional factor, And what is the function of this MET transcriptional factor is that it specifies the entire fate of the EMS cells. So how did they find that out? So what they did is that so if you express this gene, that is, if you express the MET gene in the cell, it was seen that even the cells which are non-EMS cells, the non-EMS cells were also converted and they became as EMS cells, even in the absence of SK1 gene. So from this, they came to the conclusion that the EMS transcriptional factor is very important to specify the entire fate of the EMS cell. So whichever cell you take and you express this MET gene, it turns out to be a EMS cell. And coming to the second transcriptional factor, which is PAL1. So PAL1, the main function is that it is required for the differentiation of the P1 lineage, and it's also required for the normal development of the somatic descendants of the P1 blastomere. So what happens is that and what they found that the embryo which lack this gene, so whenever you want to know a function of a gene, what you do is that you mutate the gene. So when you do mutation, the loss of that gene, so that the function or the phenotype will not be expressed. So similarly, when they did experiments with this gene, that is the PAL1 gene, so the embryos which lacked this PAL1 gene, they did not have any there was no somatic cells which was found from the CD stem cells. Thus, it was seen that the PAL1 is needed for the differentiation of the P1 lineage in the somatic descendants. And this PAL1 gene, it also regulates this transcriptional factor, that is the MEX3. So MEX3 is regulated by PAL1. And so what is this MEX3 protein? So it is a RNA binding protein which inhibits the transcription of the PAL1 mRNA. Okay. So what happens is that if this, you can see here, if this MEX3 is expressed, then the PAL1 will be absent. In the same way, so if you have any MEX3 deficient mutants, then you see this PAL1 will be expressed. Like it will be seen in PAL1 gene will be seen in all the blastomeres. So the main function of this PAL1 is to like to suppress or inhibit or regulate this MEX gene. And then you also have this SK1. So the SK1, it will go and inhibit this PAL1 and it prevents it from becoming active in this EMS cells. And coming to the third transcriptional factor, which is PI1. So this PI1, it is important for the germ cell fate. And the PI1, it is placed on the P blastomeres through the action of PAR1 protein, and it'll and what when it is kept by the PAR1, and it will go and inhibit this SK1 and PAL1 in P2 as well as the germ cells. So when you mutate this gene, that is when you go and mutate this PI1 gene, what you see is that it results in germline all the germline blastomeres, they start adopting somatic cells. And like for example, so the cells which were supposed to be germline cells, they become somatic cells, and the P2 cells will start behaving as EMS blastomere. So the P2 cells are supposed to be germline cells, but they start acting like somatic cells, that is the EMS blastomeres. So from this, they concluded that the pi, it represents the establishment of somatic fate and it preserves the totipotency of germ cells. And here is a figure which shows in this diagram, what you can see is that here is a regulation, like how all these genes work. Okay, so here you have the centrosome. So you have the anterior AB cell and the posterior P1 cell. And the centriome, what it will do is that it will go and inhibit the par3 as well as the par6 complex in the posterior part of the egg. So when this is inhibited, it allows the function of par2 and par1. So this par2 and par1 in turn, it will go and inhibit MEX5 and as well as MEX6 protein, which is very important. So what is the function of this MEX5 and MEX6 is to degrade this pi1. Okay. So the MEX5 and MEX6 will go and degrade the pi1. So when this MEX5 and MEX6 is degraded, like it is inhibited by the par2 and par1, then the pi1 will is preserved, and this becomes the posterior part of the cell. It becomes the posterior p1 cell. But in case of this anterior AB cell, the par3 as well as par6 is active, and this will go and inhibit this par2 and par1, which in turn activates MEX. Here MEX is inhibited. So here MEX5 and MEX6 are activated, and as you know, the main function of MEX5 and MEX6 is to degrade the pi1. So here, since these are activated, it will go and degrade the pi1, and here the pi1 is not activated, and this region it forms the anterior AP cell. I hope you guys understood. So yeah, this is all about conditional this is all about autonomous specification. So in the next video we'll be learning about conditional specification, and also the last part which completes the whole thing about C. elegans. So I've just written this down. So whenever you're writing it, it's important to follow these rules. Like the transcriptional factors are written in capitals, the proteins in small letters in straight lines, and whereas the genes in italics and small letters. So like I said, the next video will have conditional specification and differentiation of FANX. So until then, stay tuned, and I hope you guys understood and consider subscribing. Thank you.